The lesson.
Oh, yeah.
There was a few things that happened in 2000. So that gig with Company Flow, that was great. It was with Mr. Liff. Amazing gig, packed. That gig went well. I started doing a night called Know the Ledge at Jive. And I was trying to run a night. So I brought over Metabase and Breath, and I was trying to do different things. And on one of those nights, I can't remember, it was probably about the third one. So it was a series of events I was doing at that venue, and I'd done a flyer for every event. And I think on the third one of those nights, there was a bit of trouble that happened upstairs with some of the FYC boys. So basically, I was downstairs and they were throwing beers or they were causing some issues upstairs. So I had, there was a couple of people, Michaela, who used to kick around the hip-hop scene back then, a few others came down and said, hey, you know, there's guys upstairs causing trouble. So I went upstairs and I got to the top of the stairs, literally got to the top of the stairs and started walking over. And then one guy just came towards me and then King hit me straight up, like King hit me, or attempted to King hit me. And of course, if anyone knows me, I don't back down, right? I do these days because I'm a bit older now and a bit wiser, but it's not that I don't back down, but like if someone's going to come at me and try to hit me, I'll protect myself, right? And I'll throw a few back, right? Within a few split seconds, all of a sudden I had 6 guys surrounding me, right? And all trying to have goes at me. I slipped because there was beer on the ground. I'd slipped and then I slipped on the ground, and then next minute they're all kicking me in the head, right? And I can't get up and I'm getting kicked in the head and I'm down on the ground. And basically started bleeding and stuff like that. Look, it wasn't in the scale of things, it actually wasn't probably as big as what people think it was, but it was just wrong place, wrong time. They were drunk. They were wanting to have a bit of biffo, right? I came up to actually chill them out. And I'd seen them come into the record shop all the time, and some of them. And one of them, there was I forget his name. One of them was a boxer. He was trying to get into the Olympics. I can't remember his name. But he kind of stayed out of it. But he was right there. He's all their boys. And
for those who don't know, FYC is not just your average crew, man. Like,
well, for me, I didn't care who they were back then. FYC back then, like I think this is before FYC really became FYC.
Yeah.
They were FYC, but they weren't. Well, maybe they were. I don't know, because as soon as that had happened, and I was like, right, who are these guys? Right, I want to talk to them. You know what I mean? And everyone's saying to me, no, you don't want to mess with FYC. But, you know, I was like, whatever, you know. But after I had a couple of days to think about it, I was like, wrong place, wrong time. You know, it wasn't anything directed specifically towards me. I knew it. They were just up there. They were trying to cause trouble, you know. Just what they do, you know what I mean? Drunk dudes having fun, want to have a go with a couple of people, whatever. Basically the outcome of that was that, you know, I was bleeding quite a bit and I was a bit concussed. So I went down to the hospital, you know what I mean? And just to get looked at, they just watched me for a bit. So, you know, I think people think, oh, you know, Madcap got put in hospital. It wasn't actually quite that bad. I had a lot of blood.
And so what year was this?
So that was probably around March, April. It was a couple of months after Company Flow. So it was 2000, around 2000.
Yeah.
Right, so that had happened. Now, I was still putting on gigs because a week later, I had Air Force Crew playing at Proscenium. It was a packed gig, right? And I still had a few gigs after that, right? So anyway, that was more of a little bit of a sideshow, you know what I mean? Nothing too major, but, you know, they were all at the gig and it was all sort of, you know, look you up, both sides looking each other up and down, whatever. So I kept doing a few more gigs, but for me, it was a little bit of a moment in my mind where I was just like, I was already tired from doing hip hop stuff, right? From 96 to 2000, I was working in a record store 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I was DJing, give or take, two nights a week, right? I was promoting, putting on events pretty much one big one every month. I was doing a radio show one night a week. In between all that, I did a magazine as well called Backbone. I did a magazine. There was so much going on, and I was tired. And also, a few friendships had become strained during that period of time, a couple of times. So I wasn't really necessarily had the same people with me. And I was just getting tired, and I think I was probably burnt out. And sort of around 2000, I was starting to think, I was starting to actually think about trying to get a different job. You know what I mean? Like actually trying to get a different job and go to uni. That's what I was thinking about. So that thing that happened there, and also I think at the time, there was a few other things. Like I was having to move out of where I was in Unley and all sorts of things. And I was sort of approaching going to India, and I don't know, I came back from India and I was just like, I need to do something.
Yeah, something
It
different.
wasn't like I went to India and all of a sudden I had a whole new world perspective, but it was the first time I'd had a 6-week break away from everything that I was doing, and it made me think clearer and go, I'm tired of doing all of this. And if people, obviously with that incident that happened, if the people that I'm providing these events for aren't fully supporting me and respecting what I'm doing and respecting me as a person, then who am I doing this for? You know what I mean? So I kind of went off and I was like, right, I'm going to go get a job. So I went and got a job in a bank, worked in a bank for 6 years, you know what I mean? And at the same time, I went and studied at university.
The lesson.
927. Oh, yeah.